Have you ever been playing Fire Emblem on a hard difficulty and thought, man, I wish they would just make this impossible for me to complete? Make it just incredibly difficult, make it not even fun. Well, have I got the experience for you. Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Today we're going to talk about the hardest difficulty in the series. And it's not hard because it's tactically genius or anything like that. It's hard for some really annoying reasons, and we're going to go into those. Of course, I'm talking about Fire Emblem Awakening's Lunatic Plus difficulty. Awakening is known as an easier game in the series because of how overpowered pair-up is, how overpowered a lot of the characters are, namely Robin, and some of the child units, once you get them, are pretty crazy. And of course, you know, Frederick, Crom, everyone can be really, really good in Awakening. It's just kind of how it works. But particularly, you have characters like Robin, who just break the game in half very easily, can get any skill in the game, and are just dumb, just stupidly broken. But what happens when developers decide, let's make this game impossible for the player? And that's basically what you get when you see a Lunatic Plus run in the first few chapters. Once you get to the spot where you can start grinding and getting an infinite experience or whatever else, obviously it settles down. You can just get so overpowered with a Crom Robin combo and just kind of steamroll your way through a lot of the game until the enemies can potentially catch up to you. But before then, before you get to the grinding, so before you get to chapter 5 or whatever it is, or 4 or 5, it is some of the most difficult, and not in a fun way, Fire Emblem has and probably ever will be. Let's talk about why that is. Fire Emblem Awakening is really heavy in the skill department. It was the first time that Fire Emblem made skills as widely available to all the units as it has. Whereas in like Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, and Radiant Dawn, you were limited on how many people could have certain skills by virtue of only having a number of items for those skills, right? So like there were only so many Vantage scrolls or manuals throughout the game. Whereas anyone who has access to the Myrmidon class in Awakening can get Vantage. So you can build your units however you want, which is really cool. I love that about Awakening. But the problem is, I feel like the developers, I don't know anything about game development. I'm not going to pretend like I was in the room when they were discussing things like this or putting this together. But I feel like the developers were like, well, the player has access to all these tools. What if we just made it so the enemy had access to some of them, but better, to make the game harder? Which is essentially what you get. So let's go through these skills that the enemies can randomly have. Again, randomly have. It's not planned out. That's part of the frustration. But some of these skills. So you have Vantage Plus, which is just Vantage, where, if you're under a certain amount of HP, you get to go first on enemy phase. Some enemies will have Vantage Plus, which is just they always attack first. Luna Plus. It's the effect of Luna, halving the enemy's defense for an attack on a percentage chance of happening, except it's every attack has the Luna effect. Hawkeye. Their attacks always hit. Pavice Plus and Aegis Plus, which are just those skills again, but always activate. I think any one of these by themselves aren't that scary. Vantage Plus, you can get around that. Especially if it's on someone with a 1 range or 2 range, then you can attack with the opposite of what they have. But if they have 1 to 2 range, that's a little more annoying. Luna Plus, the same thing. You just don't get hit. Hawkeye, sometimes you're just going to have to take the hit, but honestly, you could probably handle it. The difficulty lies in when these skills start getting combined. So you'll have an enemy who has Vantage Plus and Hawkeye. So no matter what, they're going to hit you. Or they'll have Vantage Plus and Luna Plus. Or they'll have Luna Plus and Hawkeye. Even in these early chapters. So you're just like forced to take tons of extra damage that you normally wouldn't have to. Super difficult to play with and work around. I would be more forgiving though, if, like I mentioned earlier, if it weren't random. You literally can reset the same map on the same save file over and over again, and the skills that different characters have, different enemies have, will change. So on one reset, the first Myrmidon you fight could have Vantage and Hawkeye. Next reset, you could have Luna and Hawkeye. And you just have to deal with it. Or reset until you get favorable skills on every single enemy. which the more enemies are, the more tedious that would become, right? Now, I don't hate giving the enemy overpowered skills that you have to work around. I think that can be interesting and fun to deal with as a player. I like being put into challenging situations where I have to use every tool at my disposal to get through the game. What I don't like is not being able to have any foresight or planning for what I'm going to have to face in the future. And I don't know why they decided to make it random. Part of me thinks it was just we're going to throw Lunatic Plus, tack it on at the end, and not worry too much about it. Because I think if they would have taken the time to really sculpt the enemy units into challenging like puzzles almost, that could have been really cool. But we didn't get that. We get random nonsense. And that's how I would have fixed Lunatic Plus, ultimately. Still keep the difficulty of it, but make it plannable, or it at least feels more fair to the player to have it be the same every single time, so that you can develop a strategy as you play through the chapter over and over and over again, right? Because you're gonna have to reset a bunch, because you're gonna lose a bunch as you're figuring out your strategy. At least that's how it goes for me. So I think if you were to make it more consistent, that would give the player an opportunity to actually enjoy the planning phase, rather than just kind of making a plan and hoping that an enemy doesn't pop up with Luna and Hawkeye or whatever, or Pavice, so that you can't kill them in time. Those are just my thoughts, though. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about Awakening's Lunatic Plus? Have you played it? What do you think about it? I've only played the first few chapters at this point because, you know, they're hard and I haven't had a whole lot of time to devote to it. But I do want to beat it at some point before I attempt to Iron Man it on the channel, because, yeah, that's something we're going to do at some point. We're going to Iron Man Fire Emblem Awakening Lunatic Plus, because we're doing every game on the hardest difficulty. And by attempt, I mean we're going to do it. It may take a year, it may take 2, who knows how long it'll take. Maybe we'll take breaks in between, but we will complete it, and it will be incredibly cool when we do. But again, share your thoughts in the comments. What do you guys think of Fire Emblem Awakening Lunatic Plus? How would you fix it? Or do you think it should just be ignored entirely? Honestly, that's probably the right answer as of now. But if you were to fix it, what would you do to it? And of course, like the video, subscribe to the page, and yeah, thanks for watching, guys. So if you stuck around to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. I've been gone for a while. I made a post, what, is it 2 months now? Almost 2 months ago, saying I had some family stuff to do, and really what it was is I needed to focus on schooling. But honestly, I wanted to come back. You know, I wanted to come back from the moment that I stopped streaming and stopped making videos. So I'm back for now. I don't know how long or how often yet. I'm still trying to figure things out so I can get like a schedule worked out for between me, the kids, you know, Maggie and everything. But it's going to be hopefully some good uploads. I'm working on sorting out my Patreon page, which there'll be a link somewhere to it. I'm probably going to put together some sort of a weekly podcast. I want to do daily blog post kind of thing over on Patreon, just to like have a bunch of, like, the idea is that if you can support me there, you just get a bunch of extra content, which would be awesome, right? It would be cool if you're into that. And I also want to incorporate that with like channel members and have some way to reward them for that more so than they do. Because honestly, channel members don't default to get like ad-free viewing or something like you think they would, like you do on Twitch. But anyways, that's like a small little update. Again, I don't know how long I'll be doing this again or what, but I want to give it another shot. I want to make this, honestly, I want this to be meaningful income for my family. So any help that you can give by liking the video, sharing the videos, or streams, or whatever you enjoy from the channel, I'd really, really appreciate that. So yeah, I guess I'll end it here. Thanks for watching.